What's up guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to yet another video. I hope all of you have been staying safe and busy during this whole COVID-19 pandemic situation. I know I've been trying to stay busy and I've been trying to catch up on some content and some videos for you guys. So today we're here in the garage and we're gonna be working on my M3. I've got a lot of content coming up for you guys in terms of the M3, my 335, Drew's E90 335, Kevin's M3, lots of content coming along, so stay tuned for all of that as well. So in today's video, the modification we're going to be working on is going to be taillights for my E92 M3. So as you can see, I have OEM taillights. This is a 2013. These are LCI taillights, and I lightly smoked them with some Vivid Vinyl air release tint. I get a lot of questions on what kind of vinyl this is, so that's what this currently is on the car, is Vivid Vinyl air release tint. I installed it myself. Doesn't require any water or anything like that. You just kind of put it on. It's almost like vinyl, so pretty simple install. I've had this on here now for, I don't even know, maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years, something like that. It's held up really well, but there's a modification on this car that I've been wanting to do since I've owned both of my M3s actually. You guys probably haven't seen very many of these modifications because it's pretty rare and there's only a select few companies that I know that actually do this modification. So what I'm referring to is blacked out housing on the inside of these taillights, and let me show you what I mean. All right, so as I mentioned before, there are a few companies that do this modification. Basically, this is an OEM BMW LCI taillight that's been opened up, painted on the inside, and put back together. So there's a few vendors that actually do this. I know Republic Works is one of them. They are no longer in business, I don't think. Mastermindz out of California, who actually did this particular set. And I think Z-Work Lights or Lightworks, one of the two, also does this modification. So there's not too many cars out there that I've seen that have this, and that's kind of why I've always wanted to do this modification. It's kind of an OEM plus look. If you guys are familiar with how the LCI taillights look, this might be just a real subtle upgrade, and you might look at it and realize like something's different with that, but I don't know what it is. So it's nothing too crazy, obtrusive or anything, but I think it's gonna look really, really great. So this is what they look like. Again, it's just been opened up, painted on the inside, and put back together. But I'll take them out of the box here and show you a little bit more. But I'm really excited to put these on the car. Okay, so here are the inner tails. That's kind of what that looks like. So this is the left side, the driver's side. So pretty subtle. You can see on the back side where they actually cut the lens off here and they reattach it. It's kind of like modifying headlights. Same kind of thing that they do there is they cut the lens off, modify the inside, put it all back together. Same kind of idea with this thing, but that's kind of what the inner tail looks like. So this will go in the trunk. So this is the outer tail. Again, very, very subtle, but you can tell that it's a little bit darker. And that's kind of why I tinted my OEM taillights, because I kind of wanted to see what it would look like in a darker shade before, having these taillights put on the car. And I did not specifically send this out to be modified. I actually found these on M3 posts. They popped up and snatched them up real fast because they wouldn't last long. Again, not too many cars have this modification, so that's basically what it looks like. OEM taillight. We got to put the bulbs back in here, swap it all out, and we should be good to go. All right, so here's another look at them outside in some natural sunlight. So they look pretty cool. I'm excited. So I wish I could show you guys a comparison side by side of some OEM tails without the tint. Maybe I can do that at another point with maybe Craig's car, since he's got an LCI and his taillights have not been tinted or anything. We can do a side-by-side once I get these installed and kind of show you guys what that looks like at a later point. But here's kind of the differences here. You can kind of see it. A little bit more aggressive. I know that this isn't everybody's cup of tea, but I get a lot of flack about the taillights being tinted already. So I'm curious to see what you guys actually think about these, since it's not actually tint, it's been opened up. And it's kind of a subtle mod, so I think it's going to look cool. All right, so the first thing we need to do here is pop the trunk open, and then go ahead and take this out. So unscrew, lift out. So put that aside. Now we need to work on getting to the back of the taillight here. So by taking this little tray out, it does give you access to the back outer taillight. Additionally, we need to take apart the trunk lining up here to give us access to the inner tails. And on this side, there's a little door here that we need to kind of pull off. It's fabric, so you just kind of need to grab it, pull it off just like that, and that gives us access to that side. So for the trunk lining here itself, you'll see 8 clips, 4 on the bottom, 4 on the top, and then this little trunk release. So we need to pull this down, and we actually need to pull the metal out of here. Just like that, and then get yourself either a trim tool or a flathead screwdriver and pop these tabs out. All right, so I'm just gonna use a flathead screwdriver for this. These clips out here are a little bit harder to get. Just gotta leave them out. All right, took a little bit, but we got it out. So this is just a compression clip. Hopefully you guys can see that focus. So it looks like this. So once you actually push this portion back in, it flares out the top part here. So pull all those out, don't lose them. All right, last one here. As you can see, I'm kind of using my screwdriver to get it started, and then I'm using my trim tool. Since it's got this little cutout, it's easier to slide in here and kind of pulls it out without damaging the clip too much. So now that we've got all those released, the only thing that's holding this in place is just kind of, you know, these handles here kind of wedge up inside of the trunk. So you kind of need to finagle it a little bit to get it off. So correction, there's actually 2 more clips. There's one up here in the handle, right there, one there, and one on that side too. So don't forget to get those. There we go. Now it should kind of just fall out. There we go. Comes right out. Okay, looking at the trunk here, you'll see this is where the inner taillight is, and there's this metal, or I'm sorry, there's this black kind of piece that wraps around the actual metal of the trunk. So it might be hard to see that, but we're going to take a 10mm socket here and get this bolt off. So that comes off just like that. Now the taillight should just pop right out, and then we'll have to unplug it once we get it out. So at this point, the taillight is just kind of sitting in there. So you just need to grab it. It's the weather stripping that's holding it in. So pull it up and out just like that, and then we can unplug it. Just grab it with your fingers. There's a little clip here that we need to undo. And we got it out. And while you have your taillight out, now's a good time to clean all this junk up. All right, so here's side by side of what we've currently got. This is the OEM here that's been tinted, and here's the new one there. So here's the back side of the tails. This is the new one, this is the old one. So we're gonna reuse this bulb. Now's a good time if you want to change your bulbs out, maybe put some LEDs in or something. I don't have any at this point, but so I'm just gonna swap this over to this one and we should be good. Okay, to remove the bulb here is pretty simple. You just need to turn it counterclockwise. Pretty simple, and it comes right out. All right, we've got our new taillight. This should go on just as easy as it did to come off. So we're gonna go ahead and plug this in first. Grab your wire. It only goes in one direction here. So pretty easy, self-explanatory. Plug it in until it clips. And then you'll see on the actual taillight here, there's a small lip on this plastic portion. This will actually hug and wrap over the metal here. So it's easier to kind of put it in at an angle this way and then drop it in. Just gotta be a little bit careful so you're not scratching up your paint while doing this. So I've wrapped it around. I'm gonna drop the other side in, and now that's good to go. We can go ahead and put our screw back on. Okay, so now that we've got it in place and connected, we can take our black little bracket here. Let me see if I can show you guys what I'm talking about. All right, so this little black bracket that we took off earlier, you'll see it's kind of shaped a little bit differently on one side. So this has a little cutout here. This actually needs to slide, goes on in a certain direction here, and it needs to slide over the actual metal on the taillight itself. And then these little notches here indicate where it needs to grab onto the actual metal trunk, part of the trunk. All right, looks good. And then you're gonna use your other hand to hold this taillight in place, kind of finger tighten it first, and then go ahead and socket, tighten it down. Now that we've got that in place, we can move on to this one here. So this is the outer driver's side. And same kind of idea, there's a plug, and then you've got 3 screws here. 1 there, 2, 3, and then unplug. All right, so to unplug, just kind of grab it here. Okay, so this is gonna be an 8mm here. Get yourself a deep socket. Unscrew. Just be careful not to drop your screws down here because you don't want to have to take your whole trunk interior out. So just be mindful of that. So now that we've got all of this out, it's unplugged, we should be able to lift this taillight right out. So at this point, it should just be sitting in here, so I'm just gonna wiggle it a little bit. And then pull it on out very carefully. And there you go. Side by side, here's the new one. There's the OEM. All right, so there's the new one on the top, OEM on the bottom. You kind of see the differences there. All right, while I had this off, good opportunity to clean this area up. It was pretty dirty back here, so went ahead and did that. Now we can go ahead and put this back in. Just be careful. Should slide right into place. So the only thing you want to make sure is you get this little weather stripping on the top side of the paint. All right, so we've got that lined up. We can go ahead and start putting some screws in. So this is what I was referring to with the weather stripping. You want to make sure that this black part is on this side of the taillight, not underneath, because it will tuck underneath there too. So that's what it should look like. Okay, so I'm going to use my left hand and kind of hold this into place, and then I'm going to hand tighten all of these first, kind of make sure everything's in line and straight before I tighten it all down. So we do have a little bit of room to adjust up and down and in and out a little bit, but for the most part it's plug and play. So while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and plug this back in. It only goes in one direction. Make sure it clicks into place, so we're good there. I can line all this up and then go ahead and tighten down. Once you've gotten these all tightened down, they don't need to be super crazy tight or anything, just as long as it's not moving around or anything, it's not going anywhere. So once that's all in, this is plugged in, we can go ahead and put this little door back on. So as you can see, it only goes on one direction here. There's a notch here and 2 notches on this side, so it kind of goes like that. So I'm gonna put this side in first, and then tuck this in. This side's a wrap. All right, so the driver's side is complete. I'm gonna go ahead and close the trunk and show you guys the differences here. How do you guys feel about it? You guys tell a difference? All right, so there's the new side. Looking good, everything fits nicely. Here's the OEM tinted side. So again, really subtle OEM Plus modification, if you ask me. It looks really, really nice. Let's see what it looks like with the lights on. Everything works. There you go. Looks really good. Okay, so that wraps up the driver's side. All the lights seem to work. Everything's good to go, back into place. Looks really, really awesome. I'm gonna go ahead and do the passenger side off camera. The process is exactly the same. So I'll come back to you. So at this point, we've got everything back into place. Everything's plugged in, everything works. It took me a little bit of time just to kind of line up all the gaps, make sure it's all equal on all 4 lights. So everything's back to normal again. We can go ahead and put the trunk cover back on. One thing to note, don't forget to fish this little emergency trunk release wire through your carpet. Once all that's back in place, we can go ahead and reinstall the battery cover.